Hey guys, welcome to CodeView. So today we are going to learn one of the very critical topic in. So whenever we talk about microservices architecture, so during that time, and also whenever we talk about uh, async mechanism or making our services event driven, right? So that time we use Kafka unique queuing mechanism. So one of the queuing mechanism that we use is Kafka, right? So so today we are going to learn the basic understanding how to use Kafka, what is the purpose of having Kafka, right? And what is the advantages and what are the disadvantages and how to install Kafka. So this is our motive of this learning session. So we are going to learn this fundamentals, use cases, architecture, implementation, right? So first of all, learn what is Kafka. So Kafka basically we use Kafka is a distributed public subscribe messaging system, right? And it provides the queuing mechanism. So whenever you want to make any service async, then we use Kafka, right? So let's see if we are not using Kafka, then how our services will perform. So you are getting lot of requests on your particular API, right? And these requests are not in a like it's not uniform. So anytime you are getting few requests, and sometimes the load is high, sometimes low, right? So what you will do, you will take those requests and you put in a queue, and according to your system configuration, right, on CPU, memory, and everything, we will distribute those requests in particular in lot of threads, and the threads will perform will consume those requests, right? So this is the behavior of Kafka. Also, why we where we use it, like when you want to uh, like streaming of data, if you are getting, right? So instead of using directly to sending the request to your server, we will send it to queue, and queue will perform the queue will send it to on their own page. It will send to the server, right? Also it is used to decouple our data stream. So these are the few use cases where we use, and what is why we use Kafka, right? So Kafka also provides, whenever talk about distributed, partition, replicated, fault tolerance, right? So whenever we talk about reliability, scalability, or durability, performance, and fault tolerance, right? When we talk about making our services in those like more reliable, more scalable, or durable, we need to use any queuing mechanism, and if it is good, we are using Kafka, right? So how this achieved in Kafka, that we will get to know later. But these are the so one thing. So reliability, how it is more reliable. So as we know, like Kafka provides the distributed queue, right? And like if we are using any AWS queue or anything, right? So we are running our services on multiple containers, right? So if one of the uh, container is down, then other containers will still be working, so that your service is considered to be more reliable. But if you are using only one, like not a distributed system, then there is chances that your data will be lost. But queue also provide what we can say, you can also store data for few days, right? In the it will be queue, and later if your consumer is down or your service is down, still you, once service is up, you can still consume those data. So yeah, also through it throughput, how we can achieve high throughput if we are using Kafka. Because so what will happen, like if you are using single system, or you are singing sync mechanism, so whatever request you are getting, it will be consumed on that pace. And what will happen if your request is higher at a particular time, right? So it will try to scale your system behavior, like so it will require more CPU, more memory to we can say it will require more memory and more CPU to process those requests. But in case of Kafka, you can the set the limit that this much request I want to consume, and you can also configure the number of concurrent thread for your consumption or for your production, producing of those requests, right? So we can make it configurable. So next is use cases, where in what use cases we can use Kafka. So what first is that metrics. So metrics is basically whenever you want, you are getting a lot of what we can say request. Let's talk about like getting lot of requests, and you have to make a what we can say uh, you want to store those data. So instead of directly storing it to DB, you don't want to put lot of load. You first make it in a queue, and then you will store on the DB, right? So that monitoring can be done. Also, like if you are going to um, make a log aggregation platform, right? So like we have Splunk or Datadog. So those you are getting lot of uh, requests, a lot of what we can say logs are getting printed, or logs are printing, like it will be million or uh, trillion logs, right, in a day. So directly we cannot put it on the what we can say on our server or on a database. So instead of, we will use Kafka in between, right? And similar thing, stream processing. So any of the streaming application, if we are saying that, we will read the data from for a particular topic, and then we process it when the user is available, right? So in this, like this is a few use cases that we'll be using for Kafka, right? So what is the architecture of Kafka? So this is the Kafka basically will have producer, topics, brokers, and consumer groups. So producers are basically are the whenever your service is going to contact, or whenever going to use any of the services of Kafka, right? It is going to interact with the producer. So producer is basically you will send some messages, right, and key and topic, to which topic you want to produce the particular message. So it will first take that message, right, in particular topic. So topic will have some partitions. So in one topic you can make particular partitions, right? So partitions are basically are the few like multiple threads in that, so that also if you see here, one partition will have a different offset. So these are the offset value 0 1 2 3 0 1 2 3, right? And Kafka brokers are basically the Kafka servers who manages all the messages on that particular uh, in the particular what we can say time frame. Also, this is called Kafka servers, where we manage like every server. So it will have leader and follower that is managed by zookeeper, and each, right. So leader and follower will be so here leader will assign the task to follower to get connected with particular partition in the topics, right? And consumer groups are the consumer what we can say consumer threads who are going to be connected with the Kafka server and consume and basically make the operations, whatever operations you want to perform with the Kafka, that will be done by Kafka consumers, right? So these are the components we have. Topics are basically particular category of message that you want to store in the Kafka, right? And partition offset, each uh, partition message has some sequence ID, right? And sequence on the basis of sequence ID you can treat those messages, you can store those messages using by like it will be also read by Kafka server, and so same partition offset will also be unique to the Kafka consumer as well. So replication factor, like how many backups you want for each partition. So replication factor, if you are giving two, means there will be one replica, one message will be there, and one replica will be created for the same partition, right? Brokers are basically they are the system responsible, and they are maintaining your published data. Clusters are having, so Kafka cluster is basically having more than one broker, right? It will be called cluster. Zookeepers are basically are used by the Kafka brokers, right? And which manages the leader and follower in the, basically it will elect who will be the leader in our Kafka server, right? Producers are used to produce messages, right? And consumers, that will be consumer threads, and leader and follower that I explained you earlier. How, what are the installation steps for setting up Kafka in your system? So first we will need to install JDK, right? If we are going with the Java configuration, right, then we will install Zookeeper and the star Zookeeper server, and we will give this dollar bin jk server that is dot start, right? Then we will install Zookeeper, right? Then now the next step will be Kafka installation. Once the Kafka installation, then we will start the server. And for creating the topic, you will use this command, right? And with the given the topic name, right? So producer APIs have the this number of like basic. They have a lot of configuration, but I am here explaining few configuration few configuration rules. So one is that client ID, for which client you want to produce messages. Producer type is async or async. How many retries you want to perform once message is going to fail in the producer, right? So retry number you can give. The server detail, right? Uh, the server detail you can provide bootstrap dot server. How many batch dot size means in 1 second how many requests you want to produce in the producer, right? Buffer memory, what is the buffer memory you want to keep for your producer? And producer record will have string topic, key and the value of the message, topic name, key and value. So similar we have consumer configuration. So for having the consumer configuration, we have to define, one is that server ID, and the number of similar we have, right? Here uh, retries will be there. Bootstrap server batch size also be defined. Also be defined number of concurrency level we have to define, how many concurrent thread you want, right? And then we have to uh, also from which topic you want to going to read the messages, right? So I'll also put some of the configuration some of the configuration in the description, so you can take a look from there. I'm just explaining here what basic, whenever you want to interact with Kafka, what the basic configuration things you are going to have. So there are few disadvantages when you are going to have when to use Kafka. So when you are using Kafka, so one is that if you are adding new brokers and system is already running, right, so it can impact performance. Monitoring tools, we are like you have to configure your own monitoring tools. There is no monitoring tools available, right? And if you want to if you want to send some message and in between you want to switch that, so Kafka will not able to read that. So this is one of the, if you want to, if you are changing the messages, right, so it will not able to read that. Idempotency, it will not guarantee, because those are two separate systems, right? It will, what we can say, there will be producer is running on different server and consumer is running different server, but they are interacting with each other with the same topic name, right? So what if there is anything happens, or your Kafka server is down or something, then you cannot guarantee that the idempotency of your message that was sent to Kafka, right? So no support for wildcard topic selection. So if you are thinking that I want to read a message, I want to read some message, I want to consume some message from a particular topic, that was the message was not generated or not produced that topic, right? So you cannot do that. And if rebalancing of broker, like if you want to add new brokers in the system, then what will happen? The other brokers that was connected with the topic partition, then there will be rebalancing happen. And this time, if your system is getting the data, right? So you cannot guarantee that data will be very much unique, or there will be no redundancy in that data, right? So these are the major disadvantages when using the Kafka, right? So, is there any question related to all these topics? Please feel free to put in the comment section, and I'll try. I will give solution for this. Right? Thank you for watching the video, and thank you. Bye.